Hi everybody. So I wanted to make a video for this week about Max's schedules, both the schedules, the master schedule and his work block schedule, which I have a couple over here. And the reason is one area that I really don't think, and I know I mentioned this in his video last week, but one area that I don't think he's really improving much in, even when he was doing amazing on the medicine, are those perceptive questions where he's asking what's next. I did watch him for about 5 minutes, and it was only 5 minutes the other day. And in that 5 minute time span, Max asked, it was a combination of what's next, how much more, how many, what do I have to do after? So in 5 minutes, he asked 11 times, which I was like, wow. And honestly, that was at the beginning of his day, which is his easiest. That's when he's his freshest and the most on. And part of me worries, I worry for a lot of reasons, but obviously the anxiety portion, and the other reason it gets to me is I always think like, man, how much can he possibly be absorbing or learning in the moment if his mind is not focused on the moment? It's constantly thinking about what's next and how much more. And that's coming from a place probably of both dysregulation and I don't really love this and I don't want to do this. I think it's a combination of those things. And then I also really, I'm constantly thinking about his future. And I think, oh man, like he's never really going to be able to be quite as successful as he could be at a job, or even if he were to go back to school, if he asks pretty much twice every single 60 seconds, what is going to happen next? So I'm sure there are parts of his day where it's not quite that bad, but I was thinking we could maybe do a combination of things. So I know I made the video last week about using the master schedule and running through it so that he's prepared for exactly what his day is going to look like. But then after we do that, I thought we could also use schedules for his work blocks. So at the beginning of the school year, I know I had made these. This one I think is for language. But I know that nobody's using them, and I'm assuming that this was not, maybe it just was not user friendly, or it was too complicated to kind of set it up every day, and maybe it was just kind of a pain. So, if you want to, we always could go back to that, but considering that it probably wasn't working for him, that's why we're not using them, I made these. And if this isn't a good idea, please, be honest with me. I will not be offended. But what I did is I took your data sheets and I'm going to laminate these. And calendar looks a little different than the other ones would look, but I basically just took what was on the data sheets and I simplified it so that Max could see. So let's do this one for reading. So I thought maybe it could, the flow of it could kind of look like this. He would start his day and he would come down and you would say, okay, Max, we did morning routine, let's cross it off. We did breakfast routine, let's cross it off. This is what we have next. We have calendar, then reading or math, then whatever we didn't do, lunch, PE, writing, language, listening, science, social studies, social, emotional, and life skills. Max, this is what our whole day is gonna look like, but believe it or not, Max, each of these blocks is gonna go by fast, faster than you think. Let me show you what we're gonna do for calendar, since we're gonna do calendar right now. And then you would come over here and say, okay, Max, so for calendar, what we have to do is we have to answer all these questions, but watch how fast it goes. Let's do the first couple. Max, what town do you live in? And then he'll tell you. Awesome, Max, cross it off. What street do you live on? Amazing job, cross it off. And then he would go through, and then after he gets through a few, you could say, Max, look how fast this is going. Okay, let's keep going. What year is it, buddy? And then he would answer you, cross it off. And then I'm hoping that visual of seeing the work block get less and less because he's crossing it off will help kind of, calm him and curb that little edge of, oh my God, what's next? All right, so let's say he gets through calendar and he's crossed everything off. Then you can say, okay, Max, you're gonna get a break, but I wanna remind you, look back over here at your master schedule. We did calendar, let's cross it off. All right, next we have reading or math. What do you wanna do? He picks math. Good, Max, math. And then we're gonna do reading, lunch, PE, writing, and then so forth. So now Max comes, he takes his break. Hopefully he doesn't need to ask what's next because we've gone through all of it. And now he comes to the table and you can show him reading. You can say, all right, bud, so look, we're gonna do reading now, just like our schedule says, but let me show you what we're gonna do in reading and how much we have to do. And then you would bring him over here, and this will be laminated. This is his copy. And you can say, all right, so we're gonna start with Hooked on Phonics, and then look, buddy, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things to do. I want you to see how easy peasy this is. So let's start with, and then you don't even have to go in order. I don't know if you guys always do, but let's say you start with ABA sight words. Let's start with our sight words, and then you would do it, and then he could cross it off. And then before he gets a break, if he gets a break after that, you could say, okay, so before you take your break, look, this is what we're doing next. We're gonna do some matching and some Hooked on Phonics, and then we'll finish up the rest of this after that, Max, and then you get another break. I think what I'm getting at here is just that act of constantly explaining to him what's coming and how much he has. And what I did for some of these is I even put numbers, here, let me show you. I put numbers next to what it was. So for like non-identical matching, he only does 3 of them. So you could say, all right, we did our ABA sight words. Now we're gonna do some matching, but guess what, Max? There's only 3 things you have to match, and we're gonna do those 3 things a couple of times each, and then we're done. And then I'm hoping he doesn't have to ask what's next. And then if he does say like, what's next, maybe give him a choice. Say, well, you know what, Max, why don't you choose what's next? Do you wanna do a Bob's book? Do you wanna do Hooked on Phonics? And then maybe if he feels he has a little choice and he can see it outlined, he can see each thing getting crossed off. He can physically cross those things off. And then if he needs to know like what's coming up with his day, you can just guide him back to the master list. And then what I thought I could do is, because these things change, it's a lot easier for me to go in on these sheets and switch it out. So let's say he stops doing, I don't know, let's say he stops doing Bob's books. I can just delete that and then print it really quick and then relaminate it, versus like these really did take me forever to make, just because I had to cut all the Velcro to size and it was kind of a pain. If you do think this is better though, I'm happy to do it and make these updated for you if this is a better way to go. But I only want to do that if we're gonna use them. So let me know what you guys think. And then even with this, honestly, if he is not lessening in what's coming next, if this makes it worse, if this keeps it the same but doesn't help it, please let me know and we'll just go back to the drawing board. We will try and figure it out, but I really do want to start attacking some of that perseveration, really just for him, his anxiety, his future, for all those things. So let me know what you guys think and how this works out.